This is Michael Wojcik with your Our Town Legislative Rundown. This week, Governor Tim Walz signed the 2040 Clean Energy Bill into law. Now, this bill passed the House and Senate, but it was by an entirely partisan vote with all Democrats voting for it. And sometimes when that happens in government, you may feel that the minority party really doesn't have a say in policy. But I think we saw a good example this week of how that's maybe not the case. A new bill that's been introduced, Senate File 1171, actually goes back and takes a look at one of the questions that was raised by the Republican Party, and that is the question of nuclear reactors and new technology. And this proposed bill would fund a study looking into the possibility that new nuclear technologies might be worth reconsidering the moratorium in the state of Minnesota. This was something that was frequently raised during the discussion, but it was never part of the final bill that passed for clean energy. And we do understand that nuclear energy, despite all of its difficulties, does produce carbon-free electricity. So it's something that, even though the minority party didn't get what they initially wanted for, they had an opportunity to still influence policy, and we'll see if this becomes law as well. Also this week, local Olmsted County Commissioner Sheila Cascaden testified before the state on a bill that would substantially increase state aids to local governments. This is something that's seen a 20-year trend of decreasing, and what ultimately happens is between what we call LGA or local government aid and property taxes, that makes up the bulk of the shortfalls from other parts of government, and as you have less aid, you tend to see property taxes increase, and we've certainly seen that. The bill being proposed would increase aid to Olmsted County by about 57% and increase funds to the city of Rochester by about $2.5 million. Now, I did some quick math looking at what the property tax levy was this year, and that would be about a 2.5% decline. So not a huge number, but the reality is when you see property taxes going up in the city of Rochester, it has typically more to do with property values than it actually does with government spending at this point. Another bill moving in the State House, House File 3, deals with elections and election policy. This bill would create pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. It would create a permanent absentee ballot status where you can just sign up to get an absentee ballot for every election. It would address voter intimidation, and it would also increase disclosure for third-party contributions to financial campaigns. And finally, in some fun but perhaps less consequential voting this week, MnDOT announced the names of snowplows that won its Popular Choice Awards. Governor Tim Walz tweeted that he was a fan of Blizzo, and you can't go wrong with that Minnesota icon. I, given my more nerdy roots, really appreciated "You're a Blizzard, Harry, but you can't win them all." This is Michael Wojcik looking forward to catching you with our next Our Town Legislative Rundown.